Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. I'm Tarek from the partner team, and joining me today is Robert Van Hunsel from Functional Nutrition. How are you today, Robert?
I'm good, thanks. I see my photo was wearing a suit, but actually, same as Dominic, I'm not.
There's no worries about that. Robert, before we get started, could you give us a little background on Functional Nutrition and Supplement Hub?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, I'm Robert, CEO of Functional Nutrition. I joined the company last year in June, and the reason why I joined is the adventure that Functional Nutrition went into. A company that was founded in 2007 by David Bressy, where he started to help his clients with supplements, and he grew the business from one person to a company now with 5,000 practitioners, over 50,000 clients worldwide. And the company grew. And unfortunately, as everyone knows, Brexit hit, which had a big impact on the company. And we saw a lot of clients leaving actually in practitioners because it became very difficult with regards to VAT regulations and import duties and so on. So a lot of clients left. And then we saw the opportunity, or David saw the opportunity to actually look at different options with regard to the company. They founded the company here in the Netherlands. And the reason why they did that is because, first of all, the fact that people speak the language easier, like English and so on, but also from the location perspective. So they founded the company here in April last year. So still pretty recent. And I joined the company in June, as I mentioned. And the reason why I joined is because we were actually looking at how can we position the company and grow the company from the Netherlands. So that's been my job from the early start. The interesting thing was before I joined the company, I had to actually do a pitch presentation of how I thought the company would best move forward. So I made a whole presentation about the company and all the labels that we have, because Functional Nutrition doesn't only have Supplement Hub, but also has Amrita Nutrition, which is our B2B platform where we help practitioners and their clients. We have Natural Wholesaler and we have Supplement Hub. And one of the things I mentioned in my presentation is that if looking at the platform back then, it was a very outdated platform. We had no possibility actually to implement different languages, payment options. So to me, it was a very inflexible, bit of a boring platform that we wanted to change. So I think everyone dropped out of their chair when I did my presentation and mentioned that we needed to change. Luckily, they still hired me. So that was a good thing for them, for me as well, I think. And that's when we move forward as a company. So a lot has
And
happened.
so the B2C platform, which is Supplement Hub, wasn't really set up in the most optimal way, I think it's fair to say. So what was your course of action at that point in time?
Well, when I joined, I think one of the comments I made is we needed to completely change the platform. And I think one of the good things is that the platform was already running, or the website was already running on Shopify Plus, but we were still using the old-fashioned template, which is very inflexible. So the first thing actually I did is looking at how can we change and optimize the platform and make it a proper e-commerce platform that was suited for the future. And with suited, I mean localizing with regards to payments and payment options and making it multilingual and making sure that we're actually ready for the next step if we wanted to grow internationally as well, because that was and still is one of our ambitions. So that was a good thing that we did. And the first thing I actually did is looking at agencies that could actually help us taking that next step. So one of the first things actually I did is that I started to look at different agencies, both in the UK as well as in Amsterdam, and made a selection of a company that we thought that would be suitable to help us with our next journey, and actually got in touch with Storyblock. And the reason why we started to work with them is for different reasons. First of all, they're young tech-savvy guys actually having all the knowledge with regards to future possibilities, and they live and breathe e-commerce. And I think if we wanted to take that next step, becoming a proper e-commerce platform, we thought that Storyblok was actually the most suited company taking that step. And I think another reason is that they actually answered a lot of questions that we had with regards to, can we still keep on working with Shopify? What will be the next step, actually making it more flexible? And I think they ticked all the boxes with regards to our wishes and next steps. So, and then we started to work with them in August last year. So that was a really quick selection as well, but really went forward with choosing them as a partner.
Amazing. And how did Storyblock come into play then, and how did it help you alleviate the problems you were having?
Well, I think one of the problems that we were having, and in my past I've worked a lot with CMS platforms, and I know how difficult it can be to work with the CMS platforms, and making it very not intuitive or unintuitive, difficult to work with, difficult to navigate. And I think it was one of the many suggestions that actually Storyblock made, is having the Shopify platform. Storyblock was actually from their perspective the best solution, because it makes us flexible. And I think if you look at the wish list that we had, not only for expanding our payment options, we also said we want to make sure that we localize the storefront. And localizing means that we want to show different products in different countries, making sure that we make it available for different languages as well. So for them, it was a natural step to actually implement Storyblock. For us, it was new. And a bit in the beginning was a bit like we were a bit scared. I mean, starting to use a completely new CMS was difficult, but it turned out to be really easy and really, really intuitive using it. We hardly had any instructions with regards to how to use it. And I think looking back, it also made it really easy to actually have not that much instructions, because we had actually to start learning it ourselves, and we're able to implement it really quickly. We've had new people joining in the last few months, and for them it was really easy to get up to speed with Storyblocks and start using it. So yeah, it was basically given, and we're very happy with that.
That's really cool. I want to touch on the point where you said you adopted it quite easily. So with all the migration that you had to take place, how long was the turnover time from when you handed over the project to Story of AMS to project completion?
Well, it's a funny question. I mean, I think we all know how difficult it can be to completely switch to a new platform. And when we had the kickoff session with Story of AMS, we actually said, okay, we want to achieve a certain go live date. And beginning of September, we actually said it has to be in the week of the 6th of December. So we said, okay, we have a bit more than 3 months time, which was already pretty ambitious. And we literally managed to go live on that date. So everything because we did a whole rebranding. So we did a whole digital rebrand with them as well. That was like the first 1.5 months, where we actually revamped the look and feel together with Storyblok. So we had like all branding sessions and making sure that the way it had to look was according to how we thought it should look. Then the whole development side. Then we frantically started working with changing everything, making sure the blogs were in there, the texts were correct, and managed to hit it exactly on time. So we went live on the 6th of December. And after then, we've made even more steps. I mean, we went live with supplementhub.com. We recently went live with supplementhub.co.uk, which is a completely different platform with regards to the product offer that we have, because we have a lot more products in the UK. It's a different storefront. It's a different Shopify environment. So next to the fact that we managed to do it on the 6th of December with the initial launch, we always also managed to do it really quickly afterwards. So I think chapeau to the guys from Storyblok as well as from our side.
Well, definitely, that's really good to hear. And it seems like the onboarding process for your team went kind of smoothly. Yeah,
definitely. And of course, there are always questions that you have with regards to how certain things work. And we're using Slack as an internal tool. We had regular meetings with project management and development from Storyblok, who basically took us by the hand and actually said, well, this is the way to use it. But I think most of the questions were not Storyblock related, because as I said, it's very intuitive. So people can do the search to find where they ever need to make changes. And I think the biggest challenge that we had is actually not a challenge, but adding the multiple languages to Storyblocks, because that was actually immediately after we started working on the website, we wanted to add the Dutch language as well. That's not the only reason being Dutch, but we also wanted to launch the platform in the local market. And I think most of the question actually came from the language switch, and not so much for the content side of Storyblock and the website.
Well, that's really amazing. And could you give us some insight into Supplement Hub's future plans?
Yes, again, very ambitious. And I think we're ambitious as a company. We have the ambition to become the most trusted nutraceutical company in 2030. Not the biggest, but the most trusted. And I think that for us is really important. We have the ambition to make people healthier. And I think that's something that we really want to try to achieve. And the way to do that is actually making sure that we're available and reachable in different countries. So my ambition is to go live in 10 countries in 10 languages before the end of next year. We're also currently talking to partners in Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, India, China. We're going to work with more distribution centers as well worldwide. So that means we're going to expand. And I think the good thing with the step that we took with Story of Ams and choosing this platform is that now we're very flexible to expand. I mean, we've done the work. The basics is there. We know the exercise to make to add a different language. We've also implemented a new payment service provider, which means we also localize all the payment options. So then it makes it a lot easier to expand. I think the most difficult thing is reflected to what Dominic said, is finding the right people to join the company and making sure you adapt to that growth. Is also making sure that we have the right people picking up the right language and localize things, and being that personal contact to people in certain countries and certain languages. So again, very ambitious and big plans.
Well, that's amazing, and can't wait to see what you come up with in the next year. Thank you so much for joining us for Stories from the Block. I think we have a few questions from the audience, so I'm going to ask Sam to join us as well.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Tarek. Thank you for joining, and thank you for the interview. It was really, really nice discussion, and the answers are really interesting. And yes, we have a few questions, and not only question, there is also Georgina saying the website looks really nice. So I just wanted to highlight that. So well done.
Thanks, Georgina.
And we have a question. The first is from the Paul Merwick, and he's asking what were the steps of the migration and what was the challenges you was facing? I mean, you mentioned a little bit, maybe you can go a little bit more in detail.
Well, we didn't struggle that much with regards to migration. I mean, I think that's something that also Story of Ams took out of our hands with regards to making the migration. I think the good thing is that the base has stayed. So we kept on working with Shopify. So it's more the new connection to the new storefront that actually made it difficult. And maybe it sounds funny, but the challenges that we have were not that big, at least not as we expected it to be. And I think that's also because as a team, we're very aligned with what we want. So with regards to all the branding and rebranding that we did with Story of Ams, I think everyone aligned with the way forward and what we want to try to achieve. But also with regards to the Storyblock and actually making sure that the front end was workable and looked the way it did. Sounds funny, but we didn't have that many challenges looking back on it. I think it all went very, and of course it's not all hallelujah and not all going great, but I think in general it went really smooth. And
sounds.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I just wanted to say sounds too good.
No, it does sound too good, but I think it also helped that we had the guys at Story of Ams actually helping us along that way, and I think the regular contact and the regular communication with them helped getting there. So it went pretty smooth.
Thank you. I have one question that I was listening you, and you was entering new markets, and also you were entering new languages, and I wanted to ask what the resource, or how much time does it really need to launch a new language for you right now?
Well, the difficulty for us is that it takes rather a lot of time because we have a lot of products. And I think in our case, if you want to localize, I mean, the general translation of a website is pretty easy. I mean, if you translate buttons or flows, that's pretty easy to do. But the most difficult thing for us is localizing all the product descriptions, ingredients, dosage information, because for us it's really important that it's in the right tone of voice and the right wordings are correct in a certain country. Because I mean, we're not officially selling medicine, but you can compare it with the same thought behind it. I mean, we need to make sure that all the descriptions are correct and compliant. So I think that's a difficult thing with adding a language. It's more localizing it with regards to products.
Thank you. And the last one, the question from Francesca, which she's asking, and you, I think, partially answered, but how do you see, like, how the Storyblock will help you in the future? Like, what is like the best benefits probably for Storyblock that, and why you choose them for the future solution?
Well, I think for us, what is really important, and also I think the reason why we chose to work with Story of Amps, and same goes for Storyblock, is making sure that Storyblock stays up to date with changes and making sure that we're able to connect and implement new features. I think that's also the good thing with working with partners, is that they're always aware of new changes and new developments that are out there. And rather than us reinventing the wheel, I think it's really important to also with Storyblock for them to take us by the hand, and whenever there is a new feature available, something that's applicable to the way we work, and that they also help us with that, and making sure that they tell us rather than us asking for it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, thank you. That was all from my side. One more time, huge thank you for taking part and for all the answers. Thank you, Tarek, also for interviewing. And I would like invite Barry back on the stage.